here at Rockville with the Alternative TV, and I have two very special co-hosts today. How's it going, guys?
What's up? I'm Bryan, Fame on Fire.
Telly, the word alive.
And we're here with Anberlin. First question, Bryan, you want to go ahead?
Do I want to rip this off? Okay.
I love it.
Okay, so, which way's the mic? Okay. You guys are a Florida man. Well, you're not, but, you know, for the most part. What's the most Florida man thing you've ever done before?
Ooh, Florida man. Oh man, I'm a transplant, so I've been living here for like 13, 14 years now.
That's long enough.
From the West Coast, so.
Christian and I are actually both from Washington State.
Yeah,
Beautiful,
beautiful state.
So as far as you can get from Florida man, really. But
Well, what's the most
we're the
Florida man
wrong
thing
two
you've
to
done?
ask.
What's the most Florida man thing you've done, though?
Oh boy, I don't really
man,
do a lot of Florida man stuff, to be honest.
I would say, oh, you know what? I have a great thing, and I'll text it to you. So there's a news story that is real, and it's Florida man hangs from street sign and goes to the bathroom on cars as they drive underneath him. And he looks exactly like me.
Oh.
And so I got tons of direct messages about like, dude, what is this all about? Is this fake or whatever?
Tattoos and all?
I don't remember, but I'm gonna text it to you guys so you can put it. You can put a clip of it in here. Yeah.
I honestly would not be mad if that happened to me while I was driving, just to break up the drive.
Yeah.
Especially driving through Florida, it takes forever.
Yeah.
So if someone just did that, I'd be like, all right, you know what? That was a nice intermission.
I would crash and die, and like, what a way to die.
Yeah.
Of all things, like, that'd be terrible.
Yeah. True story. Not me, but still true story.
Interesting. Well,
Yeah.
if you're out there, if you're watching.
Yeah.
What is y'all's favorite conspiracy theory of all time?
That changes all the time for me.
Currently.
And I've never even been a conspiracy theory guy until social media got so overwhelming with it. And now I see something and I'm like, oh, I knew it. Yeah, I mean, I would say probably the non-existent moon landing would be my current one that I'm like really actually buying into. I'm like, man, I don't know.
Yeah, so they made a phone call from space, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like,
That's the
in that
New
era.
one and old one. Yeah, both of the actual moon trips. I don't know. What about you? Conspiracy theory.
Dude, I'm gonna be so boring on this interview because I'm not a big conspiracy buff either.
But like, if there was one that you could, you know, maybe that wasn't real.
Any of the assassination attempts on Trump?
On Trump,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Who knows?
I completely agree. Yeah, my algorithm is a little wild right now, guys. So, yeah, I could send some text. I'm on a list for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I think the easiest thing now is I can't blindly trust anything. If it's like, so like, oh, we did this or this happened, I'm like, I'm like, I feel like you guys are pushing this a little heavily. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've not ever really even. I try to not get too opinionated on anything because I feel like the more opinionated someone is, the more they just end up being wrong. And I just I love to learn from all my friends, like on both sides of politics and everything. I just love to absorb as much as I can and be friends with everybody rather than like trying to fight somebody over my own personal beliefs. But I would say that if I feel any sort of way about any of conspiracies or politics or anything, is that what you said. I don't think that I can trust anybody or anything anymore. Even somebody who's like a potentially great person, it's like as soon as you get put into that position and you're part of this whole like news thing, I just don't. I'm like, I don't believe any of it. I don't trust any of you. I think you're all shady at the top, right? So yeah.
Isn't that the conspiracy though? To make you not believe in anything?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you start all over again.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of tinfoil, for those of you who do not know, Matty is one of the best grill daddies probably in America. What is your favorite meal that you cooked for people? Like, what was the most rewarding meal that you cooked for your friends?
I did like a whole. So during the pandemic, I started working with this company called Snake River Farms for American Wagyu beef. and they were sending me just an unbelievable amount of stuff every month, and I was learning how to cook it and cooking all different kinds of stuff or whatever. And I did this Christmas party video for them to put on their socials, and I had, you know, some of my friends over, and we all like dressed up really nice, and we made like 4 racks of lamb. We did 2 briskets. It was like 8 tomahawk steaks. It was this huge spread, just like showcasing all of his food and everything. So that would be my like most proud meal, and definitely like a whole 24-hour process. But it's always fun to do like a 17-hour brisket and just feed, you know, 8 to 10 people, and it turns out incredible, even though you just kind of let it sit and smoke overnight and you didn't have to do too much to it. I would say the hardest part about doing a brisket is trimming it, and everything else from there is just it's up to the grill, unless you're using like an offset or something, and we won't even get started on that. But yeah.
Christian, do you eat Matty's cooking?
So
Christian, yeah.
This is just gonna continue what I said earlier. I'm so boring. I'm vegetarian, so.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But I will say we do bring a Traeger on tour now, thanks to Matty. And there's a really killer smoked tofu recipe on Traeger's website.
Yeah.
Actually, Dion found it, and we've made it a few times. It's absolutely delicious. So people are gonna watch this and be like, he doesn't do Florida man stuff. No conspiracies. Don't eat meat.
Yeah. Yeah, Christian could do all the sides and stuff though, you know, like if we're doing like a smoked queso or whatever, you know, he can have that, and so everybody gets a little piece of the Traeger when we're on tour.
You might think Christian doesn't do anything, but we have kissed, so that's at least one thing that you can be mark on the bingo card.
A great kisser at that.
You know, it's hard. You're looking at this guy, and you're just like, man, how did you get made like that? It's so awesome.
It's unreal. I know. We talk about it. It's unbelievable.
You know, I'll never stop thinking about it. Well, what are you guys most looking forward to at Rockville? Are there other bands? Obviously, Matty, you're also in 2 different worlds at 2 different times. When you're switching into Anberlin mode, like, do you find yourself gravitating towards seeing bands that are more on that side, the rock side, and then, or do you like being able to be the metalcore guy but not playing Memphis?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like one of the coolest parts about joining Anberlin has been that whole kind of like section of music that Memphis can't or doesn't tour with. Anberlin has, and especially like, you know, on some of the like festival style tours that we've done where there's 10 or 12 plus bands, I get to meet and hang out with a lot of those guys and get to know them. So like even just before the set over here, like, or not before the set, but when we drove up, saw some of the guys from Cartel, and we were just talking about like, one of them just had like a surgery that we were talking about the last time we were on tour with them in Australia. And so yeah, it's like Memphis could never do something with Cartel, like realistically. Although Memphis did do a co-headliner with Yellow Card, and so that's probably the most like random thing we've ever done. But yeah, there's a lot of these guys. Like Anberlin's been on tour with Seosin, and so getting to know Cove on a deep level, and like I love that guy. And I actually saw Cove at a hotel in Australia when I was just there with Memphis, because Seosin and Memphis were on 2 different tours, but they're at the same time. So yes, the answer is yes. I like to go and see all the tours, or all the sets of the bands that have toured with these guys, and people that I've met recently. You know, it's pretty cool.
What is the best piece of advice that you've both ever been given in your life?
What was it?
Best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Don't sweat the small things, and they're all small things mostly.
There you go. That's a good one.
Hire slowly, fire quickly.
Ooh, very nice.
I'm kidding. That is a good one, but that's pretty brutal. Be where your feet are. You know, I'm no stranger to anxiety symptoms and full-blown panic and like dissociation, and like I felt all of the things, and for a long time didn't have any of the tools and resources that I needed to cope with those things, and felt very alone in all of those things. And in this season of my life, the craziest season of my life, both bands and touring nonstop, be where your feet are is the most simple thing and the most profound thing and the most helpful thing for me in this current season of life. So
Love that.
not here, but here, you know, if that makes sense.
Close us out, Bryan.
You want me to close this out?
Close us out. Bring us out.
All right. Well, I had two questions. Well, I had one question, but I thought of another question while doing this interview because I like to be asked this question. It doesn't have to be necessarily your favorite tour ever, but your most memorable tour that you've ever been on. Something that really just has always stuck with you throughout the years, because you guys have toured a lot throughout the years, throughout your lives. What is the most memorable tour you've ever been on? It could be good, it could be bad.
Greeley Estates, and I wrestled a bear once. It was like either a co-headliner that they were doing, and Memphis was on it. It was one of my first tours with Memphis, but there was a band from Japan on the tour called Fact. Like the happiest, most genuine, beautiful people who ended up bringing Memphis to Japan, actually, and we toured over there with them. But Greeley Estates, I wrestled a bear once, and Fact and Memphis sharing like Motel 6 hotel rooms because we were all broke.
That's amazing.
Playing CeeLo with like the $2 that we had left over from per diem after Taco Bell. Those memories are before I had any sort of idea what the future was going to be like. That's like the most pure and incredible. It's around the time I met Telle too, and I was just like stoked out of my mind to get my first tour laminate and like to really just to go and do it, to get in a van that was barely working and just go play shows. So yeah, that was, I think, either tour number 1 or tour number 2 for me with Memphis.
That's amazing. I love that.
We hit 20 years next year.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. Plano Center. Yeah.
Wow.
So awesome.
And what about you?
I mean, much like Matty, you look to like your early touring because it was so new and just like you've got those rose-colored glasses, if you will. But
of course.
in every tour back then, you were just grateful to be on it, even if you were like not making any money. In fact, you're coming out of pocket to even fill up your gas tank. But you're like, we're touring, you know. But I think for Anberlin, or for me specifically in Anberlin, it wasn't the best tour for Anberlin, but for me as an artist, we toured with Smashing Pumpkins a decade ago when we were pretty active on the radio. And, you know, like I said, the crowds weren't exactly like there to see Anberlin, if you know what I'm saying. But for me, I vividly remember being in middle school riding the bus home, and like Smashing Pumpkins is on the radio, and I'm starting to really like cut my teeth into music and finding my passion with it. And so that many years later, to be in a band and be an artist and be sharing the stage and be on tour with that band, you know, was such a, you know, core memory for me of remembering listening to that song and finding that band and buying their record. So that was just such a surreal
It's
experience.
a full circle moment.
Right? Yeah. So,
Crazy.
yeah.
You get a lot of those in this scene, and it's honestly amazing,
sure.
and you got to be grateful every time for it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
really
no doubt.
Well,
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for co-hosting. And thank you guys for watching. So we'll see you in the
Thanks
next
for
interview.
having us.
Bye.
See ya.